Hello everyone, welcome back to Chuck's Basics. I've noticed a few comments on previous videos where people couldn't get things to work, so I've decided why not just do a whole video from start to finish. This is specifically for my own network, which means not everything will apply to you. For instance, I'm using a local web server to serve proxy auto discovery files. I also have a local domain and use Active Directory, so there will be settings that I use that you may not use, and settings that you may want to use that I will not use. I have timestamps at the bottom of this video to help make navigating a little easier, as it can be a fairly long video. I'll be doing the following: installing the latest daily snapshot build of PFSense 2.4 release candidate, installing Open VM tools, SQUID, SquidGuard, and LightSquid, setting up a few basic DNS and DHCP settings, configure SQUID, then LightSquid, and test that the proxy works, then I'll configure SquidGuard. Just take note that this is being done on the latest release candidate, so if you're trying this on previous version of PFSense, such as 2.3.3, then your mileage will vary. The install is fairly straightforward, and if you have ever installed an OS before, then this will be smooth sailing for you. I'll be setting a VM up in ESXi 6.5 with 4 GB of RAM and a 120 GB disk. First, I will go ahead and set up the virtual machine. I prefer using the VMXNet 3 adapter for my LAN connections when using ESXi. It might also help to connect the CD drive and mount your PFSense ISO before trying to power the VM on. The install is fairly simple. You can use the default selections all the way through unless you need to customize the install in some way. Go ahead and set up your network interfaces. Your options will be different from mine in most cases. People have asked why I don't use the DNS resolver in the past, and this is why. It significantly increases the boot time of PFSense, and with high latency, it doesn't work much at all unless you disable DNSSEC and put it into forwarding mode. Now that the firewall has booted, and you confirm that the WAN is getting a WAN address and you are on the same subnet as LAN, you should be able to ping the firewall, or a website. Now go ahead and go to the LAN address of your firewall in your browser and log in. The first time you do, you'll be greeted with Configuration Wizard. Like I said earlier, most of these options are for my network and yours may be different, such as the DNS options. I rather enjoy the Norton DNS for helping cut down on someone potentially visiting malicious websites. Once the basic configuration wizard is done and I view the dashboard, I then go to advanced firewall configuration, set the optimization for high latency, As I am on a satellite internet connection, if you're on DSL or cable, you can leave it at default. I then make a few changes, customize the layout a little to fit on a widescreen monitor. I also rather dislike the ugly blue thrown into our faces with the new PFSense, so I changed that to gray. From here on, save and sends can take a while, up to several minutes before you get confirmation. Do not refresh the page, leave the page, or go back. At this point, it's probably best that we reboot the firewall, then log back in once done. After logging back in, you may want to customize the dashboard. The layout is up to you, and this is what works for me. If you are running ESXi, you need to go ahead and install OpenVM tools. If you're not running this inside of a virtual machine, then you can go ahead and skip this step. Now, we should change our DNS options. For most people, the defaults will work, but for those on satellite internet, chances are DNSSEC won't work, and forwarding will be required. Otherwise, you'll almost always time out on DNS queries. You may also want to change your network interfaces to LAN instead of all. Changing anything in the DNS resolver will take ages to save, and just as long to apply once it's saved. Now, let's head to gateways and change a few settings. I'm tired of seeing the inaccurate latency being reported in Gateway Monitor. Personally, I ping Google to monitor my latency, and I also change a few of the advanced settings. Otherwise, the gateway will always be marked as down by PFSense. Now when viewing the dashboard, we should see a normal latency instead of the latency to our modem. Let's go ahead and install and then configure SQUID. Just remember, your settings may have to be different. For instance, if you don't have proxy auto-discovery set up, or don't intend to set it up, you'll need to enable transparent proxy, or tell your browsers and devices the IP and port that your proxy is on for traffic to go through it. I already have a web server set up, and it already has the proxy files and can serve them out to my network. At this point, it's probably best that we reboot the firewall, then log back in once done. Now let's configure SQUID. As far as your cache settings go, that's up to you. These days, SQUID can't cache much as most websites don't have much static content, and if they did, chances are the website is using a secure link, which means content can't be cached. As we are mostly using SQUID as a base for reporting website visits, as well as for SquidGuard, if caching isn't important to you, then you may want to set your hard disk and RAM cache systems to null. This will keep content from ever being cached on the system. Once the cache is set up, go back to General. Make sure to select LAN and loopback. If you do not use WPAD, then you need to enable the transparent proxy, and you need to also enable your access logs. I suggest also changing the visible hostname to something unique, and then save. Out of habit, I attempted running a command to rebuild the cache index, but it's apparently not needed anymore. Once you have set up SQUID, go visit a proxy checking website such as IamBehindProxy.com. You should see the host name that SQUID reports. If not, make sure that you have either enabled transparent proxy, have set proxy auto discovery, or gone to your browser settings and put the proxy IP and port in. Let's go ahead and install LightSquid now. It's easy to set up, just give it a good password. If you didn't select loopback in SQUID and didn't enable login, then LightSquid will not work. Before I go much further, I better set up the DHCP options for proxy auto discovery on my network. There are also DNS settings, but I am not covering them in this video. If you need that, you can view the PFSense wiki as it goes in great detail on what's needed for DNS discovery of your proxy files. Now, let's install and configure SquidGuard. If using proxy auto discovery like I am, SquidGuard will not have issues with blocking secure websites. You just won't get the pretty block pages normally thrown up. You'll get a TCP tunnel reset error or something very similar to it. Once installed, under Services and then Proxy Filter, you'll want to enable all login options, Clean Advertising, and Blacklist. I use the shallow list since it's free and there are better paid options out there that you can use. Once that's put in, go ahead and update the blacklist, then head to target categories. You need to add 2 or more here. I create a blacklist and a whitelist. For the blacklist, you may want to enter a test URL of some form such as Amazon.com. Then head to Common ACL and set your access levels for each category. Here's a little information on the options available to you. Deny means anything in that list will be denied. Whitelist means anything there will be allowed even if it falls into a denied category. For instance, if Google was blocked under search engines but you added it to your whitelist, people will still get to it. However, if it's only set to allow, then it will still be blocked. So it's important to whitelist only things you absolutely need whitelisted, and use deny or allow for everything else. Once done, save, then go back and enable SquidGuard, save again, and then click on Apply. Anytime you make a change in SquidGuard, you must click Apply, otherwise the change will not take effect. We should make sure we are still going through the proxy at this point, and if we are, let's try to visit the test website that we had entered earlier. You'll either get the typical block page or a tunnel error depending on the type of website. And when you go to view your SquidGuard logs, it should also show the website being blocked. If you're still having issues getting this to work, then go back over your settings, maybe you missed something. Or alternatively, you can head to the PFSense forums where you can get assistance with your particular issues. I hope this video has been of help. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. Thank you.